Good morning. My name is Robin Grambling, and I am a senior lecturer in the Department of Marketing and Management, where I have taught marketing courses for a little over 30 years. I would like to talk to you today about running races and facing obstacles. In marketing, we talk a lot about the Olympic Games, believe it or not, and the Olympic Games are very significant from a marketing standpoint. First of all, it has the largest global audience, so it makes it very attractive for advertisers. Those Visa, McDonald's, and Coca-Cola are the three primary sponsors of the Olympics. Now, I know it is a little ironic that Coca-Cola and McDonald's are the official sponsors for elite athletes, so I don't necessarily mean that they drink nothing but Coca-Cola and eat McDonald's, Big Macs, and French fries, although they might, okay, I don't know that. But they are the official sponsors because of the large global audience. The Olympic logo is one of the top 10 most recognizable in the entire world. So we do talk a lot about it from a marketing perspective. However, to me, the Olympics really is a metaphor for life. And I love watching the Olympics for a lot of reasons. But when you think about it, most Olympic athletes do not become famous. We don't know their names. We don't know who they are. We know the Michael Phelps and the Simone Biles and the very high-profile Olympic athletes. But there are many, many Olympic athletes that are not household names. They don't do it for fame or fortune. They simply do it for their own personal goals and success. So that's really why I like it, because they're setting their own definition of success. They're working hard to get there. However, there isn't an Olympic athlete that gets there without facing many obstacles along the way. They're persistent, they get back up, they face those obstacles, they overcome those obstacles, and then they succeed. So what I would like to do is show you two clips right now. These are actual stories of two Olympic athletes. They both stumbled along the way and faced obstacles and came back to finish the race. The first one is of Derek Redmond, and the second one is of Dan Jansen.
Derek Redmond didn't finish in first place in the 1992 400 meter.
Redmond has broken down.
He didn't finish in second, or third, or fourth. He and his father finished dead last. But he and his father finished. Hours before his race in '88, Dan Jansen's sister, Jane, passed away. He'd promised her he'd win gold. He didn't. Until 6 years later. Then he skated a victory lap with his daughter, Jane.
Now, of course, those are very emotional spots. Certainly doesn't hurt that Morgan Freeman is doing the voiceover, right? I mean, please, the best voice probably in television advertising. But the point is, those are true stories. Those are Olympians. They both faced obstacles. They fell, and they both finished the race. Now, they both did it a little bit differently. Derek Redmond, as it said, came in dead last, but he finished. He had to have help from his father. His father came down from the stands and helped him finish the race. Dan Jansen finished 6 years later. He didn't accomplish what he wanted to the first time. He had gotten some very sad news about his sister passing away. Of course, obviously, he was distracted. He said, that doesn't matter. This is my own personal journey. I'm coming back. 6 years later, he did come back, and he persisted. So the fact of the matter is, it doesn't matter how they got there. The point is, they got there, okay? So what I want to talk to you today about is one of my favorite sayings. It's not where you start the race that matters. It's where you finish. Obstacles are a part of life. They are inevitable. We all face them. Webster's defines obstacles as a thing that blocks one's way or prevents or hinders progress. Obstacles make all of us get out of our comfort zone It really is the only way you grow, and you will face obstacles. And I am a firm believer that if you find a path that doesn't have any obstacles on it, it's probably not worth a path worth pursuing. So you're going to find them, and it's a matter of how you deal with those obstacles. So overcoming obstacles really is the key to success. Now, every one of us has obstacles. The fact that I am standing up in front of you today, giving this lecture, and I've had a career in teaching, particularly at the college level, really never occurred to me in my wildest dreams. Because for me, the obstacle was fear. Okay? Now, fear is a very powerful emotion. Fear can be an instinctual warning sign for danger, and that's a good thing. Fear can also be a motivating factor to get us toward accomplishing our goals. Fear, fear of failure, whatever. I don't want to fail, so I'm going to be motivated to move towards that goal. But fear can also be an obstacle. When it becomes an obstacle, that's when it's a problem. Now, all of us have fears. You define your fears differently. You may have anxiety, you may have a fear of taking exams, you may have a fear of social gatherings, you may have a fear of not getting through the math class to proceed through your college career. How am I going to pay for next semester's tuition? All of us have fears. For you, that is a very rational fear. And for someone to tell you that that fear, oh, just get over it, or it doesn't matter, it does to you. So if that fear has become an obstacle, that's when it becomes problematic. For me, the fear was of public speaking. Now, I thought that kind of looked like me, so I thought, okay, well, sort of. I'll put that up to represent me. Well, the fear for me was public speaking. Now, again, that may seem very irrational to people and go, who's afraid of public speaking? Well, first of all, research tells you that the biggest single fear that people have is of public speaking. So it is a rational fear, but some of you in the audience may be going, oh, well, just get over it. That can't be an obstacle. So I don't mean that the fear for me was that I was a little bit nervous. That's normal. In fact, I'm nervous standing up in front of you today. I always get a little bit nervous standing up in front of a crowd of people I don't know. That is a normal kind of fear. For me, the fear was a debilitating, paralyzing, make me sick to my stomach fear. And so it really was an obstacle. And the few times that I had to get up and do any public speaking, because by the way, I avoided it at every chance I could get. Even in college, I said, I'm not going to give up and get a presentation. And I know some of you know exactly how I feel. And I'm not going to get up and give a presentation. I'll just sort of blend into the crowd, and I avoided it at every chance I could. But there were a couple of times I had no choice. I had to get up and give a speech or a presentation, and one time I had to do it at a civic event where I had a lot of people watching me. It was humiliating. I was terrible at it. So I had an opportunity that came along that would allow me to teach a Principles of Marketing course. And I really wanted to do it, but nobody knew that I had this fear of public speaking. So I had a choice to make, and it was a deliberate choice. I thought, okay, I have missed out on some opportunities because I'm afraid to get up in front of a group of people to speak. Okay, so I now have a choice. I'm at a crossroads. I'm about to finish my master's degree. I have an opportunity that has come along, and so I have to decide, am I going to face that fear head on, okay, or am I going to avoid it? Well, the rest is history because I'm standing up in front of you today. So I did face that fear, but I made a deliberate decision to do so. I took speaking classes, I got help from people, I practiced, I did everything necessary to feel more comfortable and perfect this particular skill. It didn't come without work, okay? Now, I want you to know when I first started teaching, I was awful. But it was so long ago, thankfully, that it was before social media, and it was before any of my students could tape me and put it on YouTube or for the whole world to see. So for that, I'm very grateful, okay? So I was very happy that I had 20 years to perfect that skill before social media came along. So for that, I am grateful, but I did practice. Now, here's the ironic thing. I got to where I loved it so much that my students go, "Miss Grambling, that's not true. You're making that story up because we can't get you to be quiet now." Which is true. That is true. They can't get me to be quiet because now I love it. But you see, that simply came with practice and came with deciding. It was a deliberate decision to overcome that obstacle. Was I successful at first? Absolutely not. Did I fail at first? Absolutely, I did. But I just decided, okay, I'm not going to let this define me. It is now the point in my life that if I don't address it now, then I will miss out on many other opportunities. It's okay to fail, but you practice, you make a deliberate decision that you're going to overcome it. And with the right help and resources, and there are people out there that will help you. There are resources out there that will help you. It can be accomplished. It's just a matter of deciding that you're going to do it. Okay, now, in marketing, we talk a lot about branding. People are famous brands too. These are what are considered the 6 most famous failures. Clearly, they're not failures at all, okay, but they faced many obstacles along the way. So Albert Einstein was told he would never amount to much. Okay, I think he had the last laugh on that, don't you? Michael Jordan, arguably the most famous basketball player of all time, failed, as he said, more than he succeeded, but that really is what led to his success. He didn't let it define him. Walt Disney was told he didn't have any original ideas. Okay? Yes, right. And now imagine that, being told that. Steve Jobs, of course, was fired from the company he started, came back many, many years later to make Apple the iconic brand that it is today. In his spare time, between the time he was fired and the time he came back, he invented Pixar animation, so he used his time wisely. But again, he didn't let that obstacle defeat him. Persistence. And then you have Oprah Winfrey. She was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television. Okay, Oprah Winfrey is the most successful television mogul of all time. She has a huge production company. So clearly, again, she's having the last laugh on that one. And then you have the Beatles, who invented an entire genre of music. And they said, you know, you just don't really have a future in this business. Okay. Now, it's a good thing none of these people believed all of that was being told to them. They believed in themselves. They set their own path and goal for personal success. Much like all of the Olympic athletes, they're not doing it for fame and fortune. Now, these people happen to get very famous and have made a big fortune. But they will tell you they didn't set out to do that. It just happened that way. So they set their own personal goals and their own definition of success. The fame and fortune just happened to be a byproduct of that. So I want to leave you with one last clip. This is of a potential Olympic athlete. Her name is Heather Dorniden. She had one chance to qualify for the Olympics, and she was a sprinter. And so I want to show you the clip, and then we'll come back and talk about that.
The 600-meter underway. Heather Dorniden in Minnesota finished second in this event a year ago. She was in lane 4.
And Dorniden is probably going to be your favorite. She actually won the NCAA championships in 2006 in the 800, but she only won 1 Big Ten championships in the 2 years.
3 laps in this event, 600 meters, 3 times around the 200-meter track here at the field house.
What a bold move by Fawn. She's looking very confident, and the Penn State runner is just running amazing today. She did win her heat in the 400, but ended up taking 4th overall.
That's Fawn Dorr moving into the lead, a sophomore from Penn State. Dorniden running second.
Dorniden last year scored 23 points for the Golden Gophers in their Big Ten championship. So they're really relying on getting a lot of points from her this weekend. And she's just coming by Fondor now in the home stretch, heading into the bell lap. Dorniden went down.
Whoa.
Dorniden falling down, gets up quickly, but that's going to cost her. Lucky she wasn't injured.
Her teammate just went to the front, though, so they may be able to recover from that. And Dorniden is flying down the backstretch.
She is catching up.
She is going to catch Fondor, and she may catch the leaders.
Wow.
Wow. She's got fun.
This is a gutsy effort by Dorniden. Can she pull it off? She's moving to third. Dorniden coming down the stretch from the outside. Dorniden coming on strong. Dorniden all the way. Dorniden. Yes, she did it. Wow, unbelievable.
That is amazing.
All right, so clearly you get what the message is from that, right? Okay, that's why they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. Now, she did qualify for the Olympics, but it's unheard of that you have a sprinter that falls, gets back up, and wins the race. When she was interviewed right after the race, the interviewer said, well, how do you think you ended up winning that race? And do you know her response was really very simple? She said, I didn't quit. Okay, now that sounds simplistic, but actually it's what it takes. Remember, it's not where you start the race that matters, it's where you finish. You will hit obstacles along the way. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so I submit to you that you're very lucky that you have all of these letters in the alphabet, okay? Because if plan A doesn't work, guess what? You get to go all the way to plan Z, okay? You have all those chances. So what I submit to you today is when you hit an obstacle, don't let it define you. Don't let it defeat you. Pick yourself back up. Be persistent. Find the right people and the right resources to help you. And don't quit. Thank you.